Hi, and welcome to the MLA style webinar. My name is Cynthia Kramer, and I'm a faculty librarian at the Joliet Junior College Library. So what we're going to talk about today is we're going to talk about why cite, looking at the works cited section of an MLA paper. Then we're going to look at the in-text citations. We'll go over the basic format of an MLA style paper. And then I'll show you how to use our databases and library catalog to cite sources in MLA, and I'll discuss some further resources. So why cite? So you want to cite for two main reasons. One is to give appropriate credit to another person. So you want to say that this person had this idea. And the second part is to provide enough information about that source so that others are able to find it. So it's twofold. One, to give credit to another person, and to make it so that somebody else can find the information. So the works cited in MLA, the general format, has these components: author, title of source, title of container, other contributors, version, number, publisher, publication date, and location. And what's new in MLA 8 that's different from MLA 7 is that author and title have a period after them. Everything else has a comma after it. And then the last item, which is typically location, has a period after it. So let's dig in. Here's the generic example for a works cited article. So you'll start with author's last name, comma, first name. Then you'll put the title of the article in quotes, and then the title of the journal in italics. And then you'll use the first name, last name of any other contributors. Then you can put the version number, volume number, issue number, publication date, page numbers. And then if you got it from a database, you want to put the title of the database in italics, and then the URL or DOI. And DOI stands for Digital Object Identifier. So here's an example. So you can see Brian. So Riel Bryan et al. Okay, and then it's Rural Public Libraries and Digital Inclusion. That's the title. It's in quotes. And then Information and Technologies Libraries is a journal. Volume number, comma, issue number, date with the month abbreviated, and then pages. Then the database, ProQuest, and then the link to see the article. Now, one thing to note is that the title has the same capitalization as what's in the article. So if they capitalize everything except for, incidental words like and, then you want to do the same. And then again, article title in quotes, journal titles in italics. So what is a DOI? So DOI stands for Digital Object Identifier, and it's maintained by this organization called Crossref. And basically it's a permanent number assigned to an article, and it often looks like a website when you see it. So here's an example. So I'm going to click on it. So when I click on this, okay, it brings me the original article, and here is the link to the DOI. And I can see that because it says doi.org. So yeah, there's the article, there's the DOI. So anybody can have this DOI and they're able to access this article, which means, or at least not if they, even if they can't, let's say they have to pay for it, they at least can see the basic information about it, the authors, the abstract. So that's what a DOI is. Okay, so for a book, the general format's going to be last name, comma, first name, middle initial if there is one, and then title of the book in italics, publisher, and year published. So for a print book, here's an example. Gleich, comma, James, Chaos Making a New Science, Publisher's Penguin, comma, the year. Now, if it's electronic, this would be one that I pulled from EBSCO database. So you've got the author, you've got the title, Intro to Screenwriting. Then I've got the publisher, the fiction works, comma, and the date, 2012, period. But then I also have the database and the link to get to that electronic book. So that's a little bit similar to an article. Now let's talk a little bit about authors. So the author of the book is going to be could be the creator of the information, the person that wrote it, or it could be a compiler of information like an editor, or it could be someone that translated a book, or it could be a corporate author, so it could be an organization. So let's see how those play out. So here in the future of the book, where there's an editor, you put last name, comma, first name, comma, editor, period. So you put a qualifier in there that that person is an editor, not an author. If you're working with something that's been translated, MLA considers the translators to be primary, okay? So you put the translators in front, so it's Peviar Richard and Larissa Volahonsky, translators, period. And then you can have the title in italics, and then you put the author by Fyodor Dostoevsky, and then the publisher, Vintage eBooks, and the date. And you may notice that on each of my slides I do have where I got the information from. And we'll talk about the in-text citations coming up soon. All right, so a corporate author. So here you've got the United Nations as the author, and there's the book, Consequences of Rapid Population Growth, the publisher, and the date. Now sometimes the corporate author and the publisher are the same. And this could be for government groups, okay? So in here, and it looks like I needed to put this in italics, but it'll be Reading at Risk, a survey of literacy in reading in America. So the title is first. And then since the author and publisher are the same, you just put it in the publisher form, in National Endowment for the Arts, and then June 2004. So yeah, so in this one the title is first because the author and publisher are the same. Websites. So I think the websites can be pretty tricky. Okay, so if you have a perfect website with all the information that's needed, you would do this. You do that author's last name, first name, title of the article, or individual page. So when you think of websites, you can consider a page to be an article. Okay, then the title of the website in italics, name of the publisher, date of publication in day, month, year format, and then the URL. So here's an example. We've got an author, Dave McNary. We've got the title in quotes. We've got the title of the website, which is Variety. And then the publisher, Penske Media Corporation. Date of publication, 8 May 2018. And then the URL. That should take me to the article. Optionally, you can put the date that you accessed it, as websites do have different versions. But it's not required. Now, if there's no author, then you start with just the title. So in this case, that's Giant Panda, Smithsonian National Zoological Park, Smithsonian Institute, 2004, and then the web address, URL. Additionally, if there's no date on the website, you can put your access date, but it is optional. So here's one where I've got the title Audit and Assurance Chartered Professional Accountants Canada, and here's the website, and then the date accessed because I don't have a date on that actual report. So that was a brief overview of the types of information you would have in Works Cited at the end of your paper. Now this is in-text citations. So the general format is going to be author last name and page number, and there's no comma or anything. So here's some examples. If you have one author, it's last name and page number. Two authors, the both names and you spell out and the page number. Three or more authors, that's when you do the last name et al. Then when you have your in-text citations, basically you want to make sure that you get the author's last name and the page number in there somehow. So you could have the name in your text, like according to Naomi Barron, reading is just half of literacy, the other half is writing. And then you put 194. Or you could say reading is just half of literacy, the other half is writing. And then you have to put Barron 194. Now, if you happen to have more than one source with the last name Barron, you can use the author's first initials to differentiate between the two. If you have two sources by the same author, then you're gonna differentiate it by adding a shortened title, which is often the first word of the title. And then doing direct quotes. So when you do a direct quote, you have the direct quote and you put the citation at the end, so the last name and the page number. And for websites, there may not be a page number. So what you're going to do is you just put the last name. Okay, so there's a quote and a last name, but no page number. Okay, now I want to go over a sample MLA paper that I retrieved from the Purdue OWL. All right, so what I like about this sample paper is that it has, in the blue, it has directions for what you should do, and the green boxes are going to explain the MLA guidelines. Okay, so you start out and you can have your last name and page number, and that's going to be on each page. And then you can put in your name, your professor's name, the course, and the date. And everything is double spaced, Times New Roman, 12 point. So here's the title of the paper. It's simply centered in the beginning, and then you have an introductory paragraph. And in your introductory paragraph, at the end, you'll have a thesis statement. Then the next paragraph, depending how long your paper is, the next paragraph is going to discuss how you have your paper organized. Okay, so it kind of gives the reader a little map of where you're going. And just a reminder to keep everything double spaced. So here's the second page. See, it has last name and page number. Now, the title was in Times New Roman and centered. If you have a B level header, so a different section, you're going to use a different style font, and you could put it in something different like small caps so that it's differentiated. Okay? And then if you have even another level, so if you even have, subdivisions underneath this one, then you can put that in italics and just start the paragraph after it right away. Now in this example, they have in-text citations and they have footnotes as well, but I'm going to focus on the in-text citations. So here are some in-text citations. So Dan Hoff 7, then Hurt 127, and then since these are following the same person, since you can just put the next page number. Okay, so I just put 128 and 128. I'm going to scroll down to the citation section. Alright, so this is a nice paper because it has all those explanations. Here's endnotes if you need to use them. You probably won't. And then here's the works cited. So a list of basically all the sources you used in your paper. You list it alphabetically by last name if there is no last name. Like this one, then it's alphabetical by the title, whatever the first item is in there. There there's a hanging indent, so the first line is is sticks out, and then there's tabs for the rest. Okay. Now, one thing you may notice is if you have an MLA 7, you may notice that like after books, they might put, after the date, they might put the thing print. So publication markers such as print, they're not required anymore. Um, Here it's if you want to infer a publisher, you could put that in brackets. Here's the website where they have it. I mean, it doesn't hurt to put the access data, when you accessed it. Um, so keep that in mind. Okay, so that's enough looking at this paper. All right, so I want to show you a couple ways to get citations from library databases. All right, so if I'm here, I can go to jjc.edu and I can go to Student Resources, Library. Okay, and then if I'm in the Discovery tool, I can search for social media. And I can click on Scholarly Peer Reviewed. Okay, so let's see, here's about social media and posting about products. So let's say I was interested in that. I can click on the title. And then I can click on Cite on the right there. Okay, and then the citation options are there in alphabetical order. So I can scroll down to MLA. Whoop. Okay, so here it's got the author et al., the title in italics, the journal, a title in quotes, the journal in italics, volume number, issue number, the date, the pages, episode host, and the DOI. So this looks great. So I could copy and paste this into my paper. I could also hit email and email it to myself. Okay, put in a subject and I can choose citation format over here and choose MLA. All right, now what if I wanted to look up a book? So I could go to jjc.edu, Student Resources Library, click on Catalog, put on Social Media. Okay, and I'm interested in this book. So then I can click on Cite This. Okay, and it's going to give me the MLA citation. Now, one thing to notice is in this one, it includes the city of publication. That's no longer required. So I could copy and paste this. I'd probably just take Los Angeles out. Okay. So let's talk about what other sources we have to get information on how to use MLA. So for MLA, we have the handbook here, so you can come check it out. MLA has a works cited page, so you can click on that. All right, and what that's going to do is it'll talk to you about core elements, the concept of containers, and you could even go over a practice template. Okay, and then here's their kind of broad menu of options. So a works cited quick guide, that's what we just in, digital citation tool, in-text citations, formatting captions, sample papers. So there's just a lot of resources there at the official style.mla.org. And then the Purdue OWL has had a makeover, so that's a very nice resource. You can go to Purdue OWL, scroll down, click on MLA Guide, and you can look at an introduction, or if you expand this out, you can choose, anything you want to look at. MLA Works Cited Page Books. So again, that's a good resource to have. And then I do like this research guide. So here's a research guide from Columbia College. That's where I pulled some of my examples. I think it's just well laid out. So I can do, how do I cite, let's say I wanted to cite poetry, and it'll show me the generic, an example, and in-text citations. And then it'll tell me what pages it's in the MLA handbook. So I find that to be really nicely laid out. And then this one's just fun. This is an MLA checklist. So you go in, and it has all the things we're going to talk about, and then it's just a checklist. Okay, my margins are 1 inch from the top. Okay, I have correct margins. I've used the standard font, 12-point New Roman. I've double spaced. So it just kind of, it's a fun little checklist. Now, one last thing I want to show you is I want to show you how to bring up a template in Word as well. So if I go ahead and open Word, I can search for an MLA template. Now the catch is it's a so if I go and search for online templates and I put MLA and search, it comes up MLA style paper. So I'll click on that and click create. Alright, so here it already has it semi-formatted for you. So I can go in, I can edit my last name, and then I can, put in my name, my instructor's name, okay, and then I can put in my title, subtitle. It just has some generic formatting for you. Now I will warn you that the works cited is in MLA 7, so you're probably going to want to delete that out and make your own works cited. Well, thank you very much for joining me today to talk about MLA style. If you have any more questions about MLA style, please contact the library. Please visit our website, send us an email, or send us a chat. Thank you very much.